What's up everyone, John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo here with an unboxing of the new T-Mobile flagship handset. Of course, this is the G2, the follow-up to the Android phone that really started the Android craze. Obviously, that is the G1. Let's go ahead and dig in and see where this guy improves. Alright, so on the front of the box, you've got a picture of the G2 letting you know it's a with Google experience, which means you're going to get a relatively unskinned Android operating system. In this case, it's going to be 2.2 Froyo. Picture of the device on the front with Google on the back. Nothing really on the side other than some company branding. On the back, you're going to get a few specs here, and we'll go through all the specs a little bit more as we go. 5 megapixel camera with LED flash autofocus and 720p video capture. That's all fine and good. Let's go ahead and open the box and see what we're going to get. Here we have your T-Mobile G2. Push it off to the side for just 1 second. We'll keep digging in the box to see what we're going to get. On top, HTC has hidden some reading material in here, probably a getting started and quick start guide, which is indeed a quick start guide, terms and conditions, and then a handset recycling program flyer from T-Mobile. Your typical array of accessories in the box, nothing really out of the ordinary. You've got your wall charger to USB, stereo headphones with microphone, and a micro USB cable. Chances are you guys may have a few of these already laying around. All right, but let's look at, while we are all here, this is the T-Mobile G2, and let me quickly run through the specs of this guy. It has a 3.7-inch capacitive touchscreen with a resolution of 480 by 800. It is running Android 2.2. You might have heard that referred to by the delicious tasting Froyo. It's got an 800 megahertz Qualcomm processor. And don't let the megahertz fool you when you keep hearing about 1 gigahertz and that type. This is a very quick phone. The 800 megahertz processor really lets it hum along nice and smooth. It's got 512 megabytes of RAM. On the back, it has a 5 megapixel camera with autofocus and flash. And we mentioned the video capture, which is 1280 by 720, which you may probably have heard advertised as just 720p video. Deep inside of here, we have a 1300 milliamp hour battery, which is going to get you just about 6.6 hours of talk time. And this does have T-Mobile's HSDPA Plus support, meaning you're going to get 4G-like speeds. So if you see a little H on the top of your phone and the system notification, you are probably getting super fast internet. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look at the device. You've got your typical capacitive Android buttons across the bottom. You've got your home, your menu, your back, and search. Gone in the G1 is the sort of dirt-gathering trackball. We now have an optical track pad, which is nice to have the option to navigate whether or not you want to use your finger or you prefer more traditional scrolling. You sort of get that choice. And it is, of course, you can push it in and sort of get your 5-way navigation that way. On the left-hand side of the phone, volume up and down, micro USB charger. On the right-hand side, we've got your screen lock. Actually, battery release button, rather. Go ahead and pull that out. And that is where the battery comes. Sort of an interesting array. I would assume that was a screen lock, but actually opens up the battery door. You saw it sort of come flying out. And here we have the 1300 milliamp hour battery I was talking about earlier. Pull that out, push the battery in, and we'll do a first boot up here in a minute. No SIM card installed though. Go ahead and try and push that back on. It really came flying out there. That was quite interesting. Let's see if we can get it to launch off again. No, didn't get the same force, but that's how the battery is going to be removed. And this does have a full slide-out QWERTY keyboard, sort of an interesting slide mechanism. Check it out sort of in slow motion. See the screen sort of rests on top of the keyboard. You can see it underneath there. It's sort of a new way for HTC, who made this phone, to make a slide-out keyboard. Now, while this phone has not been unboxed before, I have actually used a G2 in the past, and I'm a huge fan of this keyboard. I'm sometimes tough on QWERTY keyboards for poor designs. This one is actually designed really nicely. The keys have a bit of a rubbery feel to them, so there's a decent amount of separation. True in sort of typical slider format, you don't get a lot of key throw, so you have to sort of rest flat in order for the screen to sort of rest on top of it. But there is a okay amount of clickiness and tactile feedback, especially for a slider phone. Generally with slider phones, you have a hard time sort of accessing this top row of buttons because the screen comes down and hits it. Because of this unique design, there's actually a decent amount of space from the screen to that first row, so you're not going to have that problem while typing. While I do wish there was a dedicated row for numbers, I can definitely live with this keyboard. It's very, very nice and easy to type on. I like the big space bar. And if you're a fan of physical QWERTY keyboards, you're really going to like, I think, what the G2 has to offer. Go ahead and slide that back. On the top, 3.5 millimeter headset jack, and there is your screen lock and power button conveniently located right where your finger might be. Let's go ahead and power this guy on. No SIM card in there. Let's see what we're going to get. See if the battery even has any charge in it. So, letting you know that this is built by HTC. They are the makers of some of the better handsets on the market. Really, you get sort of an industrial feel to it. The G2 is a little bit on the heavier side, but not so heavy it's going to be sort of cumbersome to carry around. It's heavy enough to let you know you've got sort of a quality device. Build quality looks to be very impressive here with the G2. Alright, so we've got your sort of standard stuff here. We'll go ahead and just hit next. We'll skip the setup process here. Allow Google to check things out. It's not going to have any sort of network connection. Now we've got your very typical sort of Android look. There's no HTC Sense on here. There's no TouchWiz or any of that. You've got sort of Froyo in all of its Froyo-ness. You can see all of your touchscreen options here. A lot of pre-installed applications though, and a lot of pre-installed Google applications. So Goggle is already on here. Shopper, Latitude, Google Street View, Listen. Go ahead and see what else is going to come on here, and you can see it's a sort of an unskinned menu. You don't see this very often on a lot of phones. Go ahead and move that off, and I'll zoom in just a little bit so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let me take a look at all the applications that are going to be installed on here. And there is quite a bit. So I'll go ahead and use this phone for a little while and give you guys a full review on whether or not the processor lives up to the hype, whether or not the phone is worthy to carry that G name to it. The G1 was certainly a very popular device. Let's see if the G2 can carry a flame. Anyway guys, leave your questions down below or anything you want to see on the T-Mobile G2. I'm John Rettinger from Techno Buffalo, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.